This is the Harvey Hour on a Monday evening. Welcome, everybody. My name is Nathan Harvey. I am joined alongside my dad, as always, Stephen Harvey. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Happy Juneteenth, everybody.
Absolutely. Happy Juneteenth. Let's start off the show tonight with a report from the Nets. It's strange always hearing news coming from the Nets, especially when it pertains to one, Kyrie Irving. A report came out today saying that the Nets and Kyrie Irving are currently, quote, at an impasse. If Kyrie and the Nets split ways, the Knicks and Lakers could be the leading suitors to get Kyrie. So the question to start off is, do you think Kyrie and the Nets will actually break up?
I'd say yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
Because Kyrie Irving is so self-centered and so self-serving and not team-oriented that he's going to leave Kevin Durant in the lurch. Kevin Durant never should have trusted that Kyrie Irving would be his running mate in a good way that would lead to a championship. That was poor judgment on his part. He should have stayed with the Warriors. Could have won 3-4 more titles instead. I don't know why he was upset about the Warriors, why he wouldn't want to stay there. But he made a mistake going to the Nets and being with Kyrie Irving, because Kyrie Irving is, in my mind, a head case.
Right. Well, Kyrie Irving has until June 29th to make a decision on his player option.
He's going to take every second of that because he likes the media attention.
Absolutely, yeah.
He likes to be in the limelight, and he doesn't care whether it's a good issue, whether it's good for him or bad. He just likes to be in the limelight.
Well, Kyrie Irving had a potential to play 226 games. He's played 103 of them.
Yeah.
He has missed 123 games as a Brooklyn Net.
And made all that money.
And
what a waste.
So I think I agree with you. I do think that the Nets and Kyrie Irving probably will split, just because I feel like that's just the nature of the way Kyrie Irving does things. I mean, he said that he wouldn't leave Boston. The first chance he got, he left Boston. He said he would want to stay with the Nets as long as he can, and it looks like he's ready to leave the Nets as well.
Yeah.
It would have been such an easier situation if Kyrie simply just got the vaccine, and then he could have played basically the entire season. He had to miss out on a majority of the games. He also, at times during the season, he would just leave abruptly and then text the coach or text the organization days later saying, sorry, it's a personal matter, that I'm not going to be there.
Then he got in there and played, and then they got in the playoffs and lost 4 straight to the Celtics.
Yeah, and Kyrie Irving only had one great game, and that was the game 1, where the Celtics crowd was edging him on. And then he put up like 39 points with like 12 of 20 shooting, but it didn't matter because they still lost. They got swept by him.
Yeah. My thought is he's gone, and I think the Nets would be best to get rid of him. He's just a free agent, right? He's just out there.
He would be in the open
So he's
market.
looking to make more money too. He's probably going to try to do that. I would say that if he goes to the Lakers, there's a better chance that he'll behave himself because LeBron James is there. If he goes to the Knicks, there's going to be more problems from him.
Really? You think so?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's a head case. The Knicks, the way they play their cards, they're probably going to go after him hard, and they'll regret it. You wait and see. I think.
I think probably the Lakers would be the most likely suitor because of LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and LeBron. At the very, very end of the Kyrie Irving LeBron kind of crusade they had, Kyrie just got fed up with LeBron. I think they got fed up with each other just because they weren't winning. They lost the war. They only had one championship together, but I think there is that special connection that those two have, and it would be an upgrade over Russell Westbrook.
I would say probably Kyrie Irving. Well, the Lakers, did he say whether he'd be interested in going to the Lakers, or the Lakers want him?
I would say the Lakers want him because...
Yeah, the Lakers want him, but
Absolutely.
I bet he's not interested in going there because he doesn't want to play with LeBron because he's got to behave himself if he goes and plays with him. He can't be the number one limelight guy, and that's what he likes. So.
I think if he never went to the Celtics, this would be the perfect opportunity for the Celtics to capitalize on Kyrie, because Kyrie can be that true number one point. He's a very, very good ball distributor, a very, very good ball handler. So if Kyrie Irving never went to the Celtics in the first place, I think this would have been the perfect opportunity for him to go to the Celtics.
Yeah, well, he's not going back.
Oh, no, I agree. I definitely don't think he's going back. I think he would probably...
I don't think the Celtics want him. They wouldn't want him.
No, absolutely not. That's what I'm saying. I don't think the Celtics want him. I don't think he wants to be there because it seems like the Celtics crowd hates Kyrie and Kyrie hates Boston.
Yeah.
I think that relationship between Kyrie Irving and Boston seems to seems to not be at good terms right now. So I think probably it'd be the Lakers, and I could seriously see them trading away maybe Anthony Davis instead of Russell Westbrook, even though I would try to get a Russell Westbrook trade out of it, trade point for point instead of forward for point, because then you have Westbrook and Irving with LeBron James, which that might get...
How much is
iffy.
Anthony Davis worth, though? He's hurt all the time.
Exactly, but that's why I would say there's probably a greater chance to get Westbrook. That would be the better trade, trading Westbrook
for Irving.
For Kyrie Irving. And
but it doesn't have to be a trade. All Kyrie Irving has to do is opt out, right?
Well,
he can be a free agent.
There's the hard cap in the NBA, which I think, they would be definitely over if they try to sign Kyrie. So they would have to do some weird maneuver to get Kyrie. It might have to be like a sign and trade sort of a thing.
Oh yeah.
So that could be an option to try to get away from it. But I would say the Lakers are probably the best option for Kyrie, because they need a better point guard than Russell Westbrook. Him and LeBron, Kyrie Irving and LeBron seem to have a great connection together. And I think, you know what? If Anthony Davis somehow stays healthy, which is going to be rare, very, very rare, I think that they are serious contenders for next year. If Kyrie Irving seriously thinks the Lakers are going to go for him, I would say deny your player option. Try to see if the Lakers actually want you. If you think the Lakers want you, push to be on the Lakers. Say, me and LeBron, we had a great connection. We won NBA champ. We went to 4 straight NBA finals. So I would say, Kyrie into the Lakers is probably the best opportunity for him.
Maybe. We'll see. I'm not sure he feels that way.
Well, okay, so then what do you think he feels? If you had to again,
I think he'd rather go to the Knicks. I think he would rather go there because he can run his mouth, and then nobody's going to discipline him. He can be whoever he wants to be, which is a wacko most of the time. And, he'll play maybe half the games, and he'll get away with it. I think that the guy he's an oddball. I'm not sure he wants to be with LeBron because of the discipline. He'll have to play and toe the line and play by the rules. And I don't think that's Kyrie Irving anymore.
Do you think Kyrie thinks basketball above outside? Do you think basketball is Kyrie Irving's number one priority in his life? It's sort of like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers doesn't. Football is not the number one priority in life, because he's been asking to retire. He's been hinting at retirement for 2-3 years at this point. So it's kind of like that situation where just...
How old is Kyrie Irving now?
I want to say 32. I'll look it up right here. Kyrie Irving is 30.
30.
Wow.
He's still got good years in him, but
absolutely, he's 29 years old.
He wants to play basketball instead of being a distraction. I think that he should do that because he can still salvage some respect, which he has very little of now, I think, the way he's handled himself.
He played 29 games this year. 29 in an 82 games season. And
that's just because he held out because of the vaccine.
It's vaccine, right? and there was a week or two where it was his personal, he completely went away from the team, didn't talk to nobody.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, you have to put some of this on Kevin Durant. How does Kevin Durant look right now? He's the one that says, yo, Kyrie, and at one point, James Harden, come to the Nets. We'll try to win here. He left the Warriors, which was the best situation for him because they went to 3 straight. And if Clay,
I thought he went to the Nets because Kyrie was going to go there.
Exactly.
Too.
No, that's what I'm saying. They
had a deal.
Exactly. They're like, yo, we're going to go together.
And they shouldn't have trusted Kyrie Irving. He should not have trusted him. He should have stayed where he was. And Stephen Curry's a better point guard anyway.
You could say that. Absolutely.
The Warriors had a much better team.
Absolutely. 1,000%.
I think KD, I don't know what he was thinking there. I think he was thinking, you know what? I'm the reason the Warriors won. I'm going to go to the Nets and show that we can win there with actually a less talented cast of players. Actually, the Nets went out and they tried to put a pretty good nucleus around those guys, right?
They got James Harden. They eventually traded for Ben Simmons for James Harden to add a defensive point
Simmons,
guard.
he's a wacko.
We don't know if he'll play. We expect him to play next year, but we thought he'd play towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
He seems to be like, no.
It's because of his mental health or something.
Apparently, also his back got sore or whatever as well.
I don't know.
But who knows?
That's an excuse.
But KD went away from a situation where he just won 2 NBA Finals with 2 Finals MVPs. Went to a third Finals in 3 years. And if Clay and KD were both healthy, there's a chance he would win 3 straight finals, 3 straight finals MVPs, and he would probably still stay there.
Yeah.
But he left that situation, and now I think the pressure is no longer on the Warriors trying to win without KD because they just did that. I now think the pressure's on KD trying to win with him being at the helm, not having the greatest shooter of all time, the greatest duo shooters of all time.
Well, the Nets are in a tough spot if they lose Kyrie Irving. Well, I don't know. I don't think I wouldn't want Kyrie Irving on my team, but he is a talent, and if the Nets lose him, then what are they going to do? They got to go find somebody else, right? Who would they get? They need a point guard.
So, like I said, the best thing would probably be the Westbrook-Kyrie Irving trade.
Yeah.
That would probably be
But that means
best.
Kyrie's got to go to the Lakers, which I don't think he'll want to do. And
I think
who would the Knicks give up?
That's a good question. You would
They
probably
don't
have
have
to
anybody.
give like they don't have. They would probably have to give up what's his name?
Quickly.
No,
what's
the
his name?
center, Julius Randle. You would have to probably give him up. The Knicks were there were rumors that the Knicks were trying to get rid of Julius Randle at the trade deadline this past year, which I think was actually a smart move because Julius Randle, at most times, is more of a hurt than a help. But you would also probably need to get another big guy because Mitchell Robinson's the only big guy really on that team, and Taj Gibson's like 36 years old, and I don't think he's.
The Knicks really have much of anybody.
You got R.J. Barrett. You have Obadiah Obi Toppin. You got Quickly. Like, you have some decent talent. You definitely do not have finals talent.
They have a great coach.
They do.
That's one thing they do have, and they didn't perform for him, but that wasn't on him.
Tom Thibodeau. People were wondering if he would get fired at the end of the year, but they kept him on. I think that's actually a smart move.
I do too.
I think last year
That's
Knicks.
the one smart thing they did. I bet he's thinking, oh my God, Kyrie Irving coming here. I don't know. I think that he'd probably think twice about that.
If Kyrie Irving is looking for a big market, I think right now Los Angeles is a bigger market than New York. Honestly, because you have the Lakers that won 2 years ago. You have the Dodgers who keep going like every single World Series.
Yeah.
You have the Rams that just won. You have USC, which now is blowing up with Lincoln Riley, and they're getting a bunch of transfers from different schools, top transfers from different schools.
Yeah.
I think Los Angeles right now in California, that's the bigger
More
market than New
successful
York.
sports town.
Yeah, right at this moment,
New
it
York
is.
is not a very successful sports town.
Right now, the
Not
best
for a
thing we
long
got
time.
is the Mets and the Yankees.
Yeah.
That's the thing and it is like the first time
This
since
year
like
is,
2015.
the Yankees have generally played well, but the Mets have been very poor. They've been up and down. It's been a long time since they made the playoffs, so they're looking better this year. They have a decent manager.
2015 was the last time we made it to the World Series.
Yeah.
And they had Jeurys Familia that blew 3 saves in the World Series. They could have swept the Royals.
Yeah.
They could have swept them.
Well, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, it was. We're going to take our first break of the Harvey Hour. We'll be back in just a second. Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. And we're going to move on we're going to stay with the topic of basketball, but this has come up in conversation, especially recently with Curry and the Warriors winning their 4th title, Curry winning his 4th title along with his first finals MVP, which a lot of people said that was the one critique on his Hall of Fame top 10 resume was the fact that he never won an NBA Finals MVP. So I thought, you know what? I think that Curry is in the top 10. You don't think so, but our top 10's very little different.
I think he's close.
No, I think the conversation was he is close, but how close is
He's
he?
still got a bunch of years to play.
He does. So our top 10s are, we're going to start off with yours. You have number 1, Michael Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Magic, Kobe, Shaq, Larry Bird, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Tim Duncan.
Oh. They could have put Bill Russell a little higher, I think. But
so if you were to change this right now, where would you put Bill Russell if you think you were going to change him?
I'd put him up ahead of Shaq.
So you put him at number 6.
Yeah.
And move Shaq down 1?
Or would you move? I would move Bill Russell to 6, Shaq 7, and Bird 8.
Okay. That's yours, right?
Yeah.
And this is mine. I have Michael Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Shaq, Magic, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, Steph Curry. I left off Larry Bird for one particular reason. I think Curry is a much better shooter than Bird, which I think puts him actually above Bird.
Okay. How many rebounds a game does Curry get?
Curry, in his career, he has a total of 4.6 rebounds per game.
Okay. Well,
Larry Bird has
averaged 10.
10?
Yeah. 24 points a game and 10 rebounds.
Curry has more assists per game in his career, though, by 0.2.
Yeah, well. How many does Bird have?
Bird has 6.3.
6.3 assists per game as a small forward.
Curry has 6.5.
Yeah. Well, I think Larry Bird's ahead of Steph Curry right now.
Larry Bird is a worse 3-point shooter by over 5%.
Yeah, well.
Curry's a better free throw shooter by 2%.
Those are small percentages.
I mean, they still matter, though.
How many points per game is Curry?
Curry, in his career, Curry averages 24.3. Bird averages 24.3.
Yeah. And he gets 10 rebounds a game, and he has more assists per game.
But, however, yes.
And he had 3 championships and 3 MVPs. He had 3 MVPs.
3 league MVPs, 2 finals MVPs.
Yeah, okay.
Curry has 4 NBA finals, right?
Yeah.
He was first of all, Curry was the first unanimous MVP.
Okay. Two of those championships he had Kevin Durant playing with him.
He did.
Yeah.
He did, but
and Kevin Durant was the MVP both of those.
Okay.
So, both of the ones they won with him.
Curry still averaged in the first win with Kevin Durant, Curry averaged over 28 points a game in the playoffs. In the second roundabout, he averaged 25 in the playoffs. So he wasn't even putting up he was still averaging 28, 6, and 6 with KD in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
The first go round. The second go round, 25, 5, and 6.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not putting up mediocre numbers. Like Larry Bird. Let's look at Larry Bird in his playoff runs, right? He won 3. Each of his playoff runs, 25 points, 25, 8, and 9. That's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
27, I would call it 6, 5.9. And 11. That was his 83-84 season. And his 80-81 season, he averaged 21, 6, and 14. 14 rebounds.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though.
Plus, I would say that in the championships that Larry Bird played in, he faced stiffer competition than Steph Curry.
And how so, though? Because
they were playing the Lakers, and the Lakers had Magic, and they had Kareem.
They did.
Yeah, they had Worthy, right? They had Michael Cooper, right? They had some very good players.
Michael Cooper in the list of Magic, Kareem, and Worthy.
They had some very Worthy. James Worthy.
Worthy, yeah. No, I'm not saying Worthy is worthy of being in that 3. I would not include Michael Cooper with those other 3 personally. But but the crazy thing, Curry, I wouldn't say Larry Bird at the time revolutionized the game of basketball. He was just a phenomenal shooter at the time. The thing that Curry did that I think puts him over Larry Bird.
Larry Bird was an all-round player.
No, he was.
He dived for balls going out of bounds.
Agreed.
He had the best attitude. He was very, very competitive.
Best attitude. He was one of the best trash talkers. I don't consider that a bad attitude.
He had a winning attitude.
You can call that winning attitude.
I will say,
yeah.
He was great. I think he was great. I'd put him at number. I wish I could put him higher. Actually,
you put him at number 7.
Yeah.
Well, here's like me and you both have our first three are the same. I think that's pretty undisputed. I put Magic Johnson at 5. I put Shaq above Magic Johnson because no one in today's era, in the 90s, no one could guard Shaq properly. They didn't know how to guard Shaq.
Shaq was 7'1", 365 pounds.
No one could guard him.
No one could guard him.
The one knock
How
on
many
it.
championships does Shaq have?
Shaq has, I think, 4. Yeah. So Curry, it's right now
3 with Kobe.
3 with Kobe. And 1 with Dwayne Wade.
Wade. So
Dwayne Wade played phenomenal in those finals.
He had some.
It's one of the best finals performances ever.
Good help.
Well, I'm not saying but he was still dominant. I mean, there was
He couldn't shoot free throws.
That's the only thing. But there was
Hacker Shaq.
Yeah, that was definitely something. But you could not guard Shaq properly. And I'm gonna bring up the list one more time. I know I just went away from it. Magic is the best point guard in NBA history, hands down. He's a 6'9" guard. His handles, his assists, his ability to shoot was.
I had him ranked higher. I had him at number 4.
You had him at number 4. You had Kobe number 5.
Yeah.
I had Kobe at 9 because I think Tim Duncan, Mr. Fundamental, he had no attitude. He had no
Kobe,
personality.
9-time defensive player, first team.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
5 rings.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
18 All-Star games. 18 All-Star games.
Yeah.
Okay?
No,
That's why I ranked him higher than Tim Duncan.
Well, look at Bill Russell. Bill Russell, he's a 11-time champion?
Actually, I could make an argument for Bill Russell being 1 or 2.
Really?
Yeah. Because he had 11 championships.
No,
listen. He had 11 championships. He played in 10 seventh games and never lost one of them.
No,
he was 10-0 in 7th games.
Okay. I'm not believe me. If greatness was listed by strictly NBA championships or just playoff championships, yes, Bill Russell would be at the top of sports.
He won a championship as a player coach. Right?
Yeah.
Come on.
No.
That nobody's going to do that again. Nobody's ever going to. They never have a player coach.
LeBron's probably the closest to a player coach that there is, because his influence on the Lakers is so great that he's probably the closest thing probably since Bill Russell really to do that. But if we were to judge absolute greatness strictly on how many championships you won, Bill Russell would probably be at the top of sports history. And you know what? If you are going by championships, he is at the top of sports history. But look, I'll go to my list now. Wilt Chamberlain, his ability to score. He was the only player to ever score 100
I put Bill
points.
Russell ahead of Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, you did by 1. Yeah, but Bill Russell. I put Wilt Chamberlain because Wilt Chamberlain was probably one of the greatest scorers ever in his time. It was a very short-lived.
He never
run.
won any championships. He only had a couple, right? 1 or 2.
He had 2 NBA championships.
Yeah. But
his averages, his rookie year to his 6th year, these are his points per game. 37.6, 38.4, 50.4, 44.8, 36.9, 34.7.
Yeah.
That was his first 6 years in the NBA, while averaging 27.2, 25.7, 24.3, 22.3, and 22.9 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
A game.
I know. Well, that's because,
27 rebounds per game.
Back then, there weren't that many big people.
True.
There weren't. It was the competition he was going against was a lot less.
It was Bill Russell.
Some of the Russell. He never beat Bill Russell. Yeah.
That's why he's above him. That's why he's above him.
But you have Wilt Chamberlain ahead of Bill Russell.
That's what I'm saying.
Wilt never beat Bill Russell in the playoffs. They never. I don't think the 76ers or the Lakers ever beat Bill Russell. Never did. Well, how can you put Wilt ahead of Bill Russell?
Because just strictly
just on the numbers, but the numbers aren't everything. You know,
you just said Bill Russell should be 1 or 2.
He could be.
Yeah, and I'm saying that where is it? That Wilt Chamberlain, based on the numbers, was a better player than Wilt Chamberlain was a better player than Bill Russell.
I don't think so. Bill Russell was a superb defensive player. He blocked 8 to 12 shots a game. Per game.
Hey.
And he blocked it in a way that he passed it to one of his players.
Yeah.
Come on. He changed the game of basketball with the way he played defense.
But Wilt Chamberlain, right? Wilt Chamberlain, you can't 50.4 points a game.
But the numbers don't, those aren't all the numbers. How good a defensive player was he?
They didn't.
Did he block a lot of shots? How many blocks per game did Bill Wilt?
It wasn't a stat.
He was standing around.
It wasn't a stat that they followed back then.
Well, it is because they have Bill Russell's stats there on his blocks.
Not on this, not on Basketball Reference.
Put it up there. Ask Wilt Chamberlain blocks per game.
Yeah. Blocks per game. 8.8 blocks per game.
Okay, and Bill Russell.
Bill Russell blocks per game was 8.6. Bingo.
Same on that. But I still think Bill Russell is 11 championships, Nate.
No, I can't deny that. Yeah. I physically can't deny that. And
he did one of them as a player coach.
That's true.
Yeah, I think that's what puts him ahead of Wilt Chamberlain to me. I think Wilt Chamberlain is a fantastic basketball player. I used to watch him and he is great. But I think Bill Russell. I watched Bill Russell too, and I think he was greater. And you know what? He was shorter. He was 6'9", right?
6'10",
and he blocked 8.6 shots per game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The only major difference between my list and your list is
you don't have Larry Bird in the top 10.
I do not, because I put Steph Curry. Because Steph Curry...
I don't think Steph Curry belongs in the top 10
Steph Curry...
He may get there, but he doesn't belong there yet.
Okay, then let me ask you this. What would Steph Curry need to do to be in the top 10?
He's got to win a couple more championships.
A couple more. Yeah. So you're telling me he would have to win the same amount as Michael Jordan just to be in the top 10?
Yeah.
So not even top 5, to top 10.
Yeah, he could move up in the top 10 on my list maybe if he won 2 more.
If he won 2 more, he would have the same amount of championships as Michael Jordan.
Yeah, that's true. But he had 2 of those championships he won with Kevin Durant.
But he's not putting up mediocre numbers when he was
Kevin Durant was the one that won the MVP in those series.
Indeed he did. But Steph Curry in the finals in particular was not putting up mediocre numbers in the least.
Steph Curry had a great series, a great championship series this year. I don't take that away from him. The Celtics could not stop him. He was unstoppable
in the playoffs.
I do think that he benefited from
points.
having a great coach too. I thought
Steve Kerr, one of the best coaches ever.
Steve Kerr did a very good job coaching that team, and they had some good support players with him too. Wiggins did a great job too. So I think that Steph Curry made a statement by winning a championship without KD. I'm sure he's very happy about it. He did a great job. He was driven, and I do think I had him at number 11 on my player list, so he's not far out of the top 10. I think he could move into the top 10, but I think he's got to win a couple more championships to really move up that list.
I think we're looking at my list right now.
I mean, if he won 2 more championships, where would you put him on the list then?
I would say if he wins 2 more, that means, right? I'm making sure I'm getting this right. If he wins 2 more, if he won 6, he would have more championships than Magic Johnson. He would be number 5 for me. Okay. If he wins 2 more, he passes the greatest point guard of all time.
Don't you think you didn't rank Kobe Bryant high enough?
No, because I think...
There's 5 championships.
No, I understand, but so does Tim Duncan.
A 9-time defensive player, first team, 18-time All-Star, 5 rings.
Right?
I think
How many Finals MVPs did Kobe have?
I don't know.
I can look that up right now. Finals MVPs... He had 2. Tim Duncan had 3. Tim Duncan was 15-time All-Defensive, 15-time All-NBA, 5-time champion, 2-time league MVP. Kobe was 1-time MVP.
He only got the MVP once?
07-08. That's the only time he won league MVP. And Shaq got robbed of an MVP too. Because Steve Nash, I believe he was with the Heat. Steve Nash won. That was the back-to-back.
No, I had Tim Duncan at 10.
Did you? Yes, you did. But Tim Duncan, 5-time champion, we just went through it. Bill Russell,
a lot of people don't have Bill Russell in the top 10.
That's wrong.
There's people that just never saw him play. I think that.
Well, I mean, if you talk about people who don't see him play, I think that's most people. I never saw Bill Russell play.
Well, you could look it up.
You can. I think the people who rank Bill Russell outside the top 10 are probably casual watchers. They don't understand.
I don't know.
I'm not saying we understand everything about basketball, but
they're playing to the. They have more of the more recent players.
Yeah.
Another name that probably could be in the top 10, Oscar Robinson. He was a great point guard.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think if you rank probably the top 5 point guards of all time, it's Magic, Curry, Isaiah Thomas, Oscar Robertson, and then my number 5 would probably be close. It would honestly be, I think probably John Stockton.
I think
or
John Stockton's
or Jason Kidd.
John Stockton's in the top 5.
Yeah, no, I honestly I'd probably think John Stockton, but yeah, that would probably be my top 5. I would have Oscar Robertson number 4 on my top 5 because I think Isaiah Thomas was probably at the time was the best small guard in the NBA. Because I mean, he was going up against like guards like Michael Jordan, he was a shooting guard but still a guard who was 6'6". He was going up against Magic Johnson toward the end, right? Like he was playing against all these like all-time greats, and he was how tall was he? He was 6'1", and you had guards who were like 6'3" to like 6'6", and then you had Magic Johnson who was 6'9". But if we're looking at my list again, right? Kobe Bryant, I just think Tim Duncan, Mr. Fundamental. He won 5 chips, like I said. He had, 15-time All-Defensive, 15-time All-NBA. Unbelievable talent. He had no personality on the court.
Yeah.
But
He's
he just
cool.
played,
I think
he
it's
just played
more
basketball.
he was just very cool.
Bill Russell.
He was out there to play basketball.
One of the best winners of all time of sports history. 11 championships. He went to what? 11 of 12?
Won one as a player coach.
And he won one as a player coach. Yes. Wilt Chamberlain, one of the greatest scorers of all time. Extremely dominant. Like I said, his first 6 years.
Bill Russell's better than him.
His first 6 years, he averaged, I think, nowhere below, 40 points a game for Wilt Chamberlain?
Yeah, well, that's just because most of the time the players he was going up against are about 5 inches shorter than him.
Okay, but then you can say something about Bill Russell, too.
No, but Bill Russell, he didn't beat Bill Russell.
He didn't average anywhere below 34.7 for his first 6 years. And then Magic Johnson, greatest point guard. I think if you're the greatest,
the other thing I would say about Bill Russell averaging all those points, right? The early in his career, that he was the best player by like a long shot. They just gave him the ball every time down the court.
And he would just like lay it in. Just
yeah. What was his field goal percentage?
Bill Russell's.
Well, yeah,
I could say
no. Wilt Chamberlain.
Wilt Chamberlain's.
Probably pretty high because he
54%.
Yeah.
His free throw percentage though
was
40. It was 51.1.
Yeah.
I want to see what Shaq's was. Shaq's free throw percentage was higher at 52.7.
Gee, that shows how bad Wilt was.
And then hold on, Bill Russell, 56.1.
Yeah.
No one could with 44% field goal percentage.
Yeah.
So, and then what else do I have here? And then I think, like I said, if you're the best at a position in the NBA, you make the top 5 instantly. That's why Jordan's there, LeBron's there, Shaq and Kareem. Those are the 2 greatest center. I think Kareem's a power forward. When I think about that, Shaq would be the center. But
Kareem was great.
But
he had the sky hook. He had the sky hook.
It was an
shot.
unstoppable shot. The sky hook.
Nobody could stop that.
And
shot.
that's why he scored 34,000 points.
Plus, he played till he was quite old.
I believe it was 40. I want to say 42, but it may just be 40. He played till he was 41.
41 years old.
He played.
He was right up there every year.
He played 20 seasons.
Yeah.
He never. Well, I mean, yikes. He had quite a bit fall off, but if we're not including the last 3 years, he never averaged below 20 points a game. He stayed above it. He basically his entire career, and then his last couple years was 17
have the
and a
most
half.
rebounds in history? Abdul-Jabbar.
How many rebounds does he have for his career? He has total rebounds. This is total rebounds per game. I gotta find totals for it. Here we go. Totals. Total rebounds. He has 17,440.
So he doesn't have as many as Wilt. What about points though? Maybe he's the number one.
Yeah, he's the highest score with 38,300.
Yeah.
That's what LeBron could pass next year.
Yeah.
Because LeBron has, I think, I want to say 36. Is it 36? I should look it up right now.
How old's LeBron now?
LeBron is 39 years old.
Wow.
No, 37. Sorry. 37. He's turning 38 in December. So a decent way through the season. LeBron totally has 37,062 points. So he's going to pass it next year. But like my alts, I think both of our top 5s. Yeah. Your top 5 is a little bit confusing because.
Well, I swapped my top 5. I've got.
You moved Magic Johnson up, and then you replaced Kobe with Shaq for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my Kobe's lower, but that's like for me.
Kobe down too far.
For me, that's an all-time top. Like that top. My first 5 is an all-time team. That's probably the best set of players you could have in NBA history. You would probably need to add a piece.
Put that back there. Put
mine.
So you've got. Let's see. Michael Jordan, shooting guard.
Magic's
the point guard.
Michael Jordan shooting guard. LeBron at small forward. And then I would put
Kareem at a power forward
and
and
then Shaq
Shaq
at center. Yeah.
That's probably the best. That's the best starting five.
Because no one could guard Shaq. Kareem has an impossible shot to block. Jordan's the greatest player of all time. LeBron's a very close second, and Johnson is the greatest point guard of all time. That's an unstoppable five right there.
Yeah. And
the reason why I think people like your for your five, you would obviously have LeBron at the small forward, Jordan at the shooting guard, Johnson at the point. Then you need to replace Kobe.
I have 3 guards in my top 5.
Yeah. So you would need to have one more big man, unless you would consider Johnson a forward just for the sake of this. Because he was 6'9".
He could be a small forward.
In today's game, he would definitely be a forward because he was 6'9".
LeBron would be the power forward.
Honestly, LeBron could be the power forward.
Yeah.
Then drop Jordan to small forward, Kobe at shooting guard, and then Jordan's 6'6". He could play.
Yeah. He could play small forward.
Yeah. But that's our top 10, I think.
How many rebounds a game did Michael Jordan average?
Michael Jordan was also a very underrated defensive player. How many rebounds per game? 6.2.
6.2. That's not too bad. And assists?
Assists 5.3.
That's not bad either.
He's a 9-time all defensive player. 6-time final MVP.
Okay,
5-time league MVP.
I had Curry at 11. You had him at 10 right now.
Yeah.
We have most of the same players in the top 10.
The only difference is you have Larry Bird in, I have Larry Bird out.
What number would you put Larry Bird at?
He would be in my top 15. I think I would put him 12th or 13th. Because I think KD is probably a better scorer. He's definitely more efficient scorer. I think KD. I think honestly, if you were set up this whole tournament in the history of the NBA of one-on-ones, I think Kevin Durant may be the only player to beat Jordan in a one-on-one. Because Jordan's 6'6", Kevin Durant's basically rocking 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
His spot up shooting, and is just his ferocity on the court.
Well, Jordan's pretty ferocious on the court too.
But KD at 7 feet could just shoot over Jordan every time.
True.
But Jordan was an underrated defender though. 3-time steals champ.
That's pretty good.
9-time all defensive player.
Yeah.
He was the 87-88 defensive player of the year. So his
I don't
defense
see he was underrated
underrated
then. Why do you say he was underrated as a defensive player?
Because when you think of Jordan, you don't think of him as first of all, he couldn't shoot threes. That's the one knock on Michael Jordan.
He was just so awesome offensive player that you don't think about his defense. But he was he was the best all-around player.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, when you think of Jordan, you don't think of his defense.
No.
So that's why when you say Jordan was a phenomenal defender, you might be like, "What do you mean?" And then when you look at it, you're like, "Oh yeah, no, that makes sense." But since we're gonna stay on the topic of basketball for this, we won't go to break here. The Warriors won their 4th championship in 8 years. This is their 6th NBA Finals that they went to in those 8 years, only losing to the Cavs in 2016 and the Raptors in 2019. The question is, are the Warriors a dynasty? And can they make it back in 2023?
Well, I think they were a dynasty the first time around. Then they had 2 years where one year they were last. They had the worst record in the league, right?
Yeah.
So they rebuilt. Now they've won again. If they win 2 more, then I'd say, yeah, they had 2 dynasties. They already have one dynasty. And I think that ended.
So you think the dynasty
think that
was
ended.
Over?
Now they have the chance to have a second dynasty. But I think it's going to be tougher the second time around because the players are getting older.
Right. I think this is still a continuation of the dynasty, and this is an argument I had with one of my friends.
I think they had better role players in the first dynasty than this time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
They had Sean Livingston, right? He very good.
If he never got hurt, he would have been
one of the best
very,
players
very
ever.
good.
He ripped his knee up early in his career.
Yeah.
He's still a very, very good player, and he played well for the Warriors.
Oh, he was a huge benefit.
Sean Livingston. They had who else did they have in the first dynasty?
They had Harrison Barnes.
They had a younger Iguodala.
Right. Yeah. Right? Iguodala he won Finals MVP for this, but he was the reason why the Warriors were down 2-1 in 2015-2016, and he was I think it was 2014-15 then. He was the only reason why the Warriors won that series is because he shut down LeBron.
Yeah.
That's one of the moves Steve Kerr made. He put him into the starting lineup to guard LeBron specifically, and that was literally the turning point of that series. But yes, you had a younger Curry, a younger Clay. That's when the Splash Brothers came out. Harrison Barnes, Draymond Green, a younger Draymond Green.
Yeah.
And then you had Andrew Bogut, who was a pretty good center for him.
Yeah, and then you had Sean Livingston on the bench.
You had David
You had
Lee to back him up.
Iguodala on the bench.
Yep.
Right. You had David
Lee. Who
David
came in.
Lee.
Yep.
Yeah, so they had a better bench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think right now their guys are too like in 2014, 2015 when they won the first time. Their bench players, while they were young, they were still sort of developed players. Harrison Barnes was young, but he was sort of developed already. Draymond Green was still young, but he was basically developed into who he was going to be.
So I think the jury's still out on dynasty this time around. I do think they had a dynasty back then.
This is an argument I had though, right? Because I had a conversation
Particularly when they picked up KD.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they were unstoppable.
Yeah.
They won 73 games at one year, but they lost to LeBron.
Yeah,
that's what makes LeBron number 2 for me, is that series against the Warriors. He won that on his own pretty much.
Yeah, no,
Came back
absolutely.
from 3-1.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason why they got KD, was because they said they came for the 73-9 season. They were up 3-1 in the series. They actually, against the Thunder that year, were down 3-1. And then you had Game 6 Clay, who broke the record for most threes in a playoff game with 11, I think. And that was the Game 6 Clay thing that really broke out. They came back from that 3-1, were able to beat the Thunder that year. And then they go on to the Cavs, go up 3-1 and then lose it. And then they called KD. They went over to, I think here, Long Island, to come get, I think he was in the Hamptons. They came, got KD, said, yo, we need you, because they knew that every year they would be playing LeBron. And they couldn't beat LeBron at that stage. They needed that one guy, and that was KD. So I think this is the argument I had, because I was like, if the Patriots win one, are they still a dynasty? And my friends were like, no, even though they won one only at this point now 4 years ago. For the Warriors, it would be, I guess,
Well, the
2.
Patriots are just what I'm talking about with the Warriors. The Patriots had 2 dynasties.
But no,
they had one
and I agree
back
with
when
that.
Brady's first 4 years, they were a dynasty.
Yep.
And then his last, all except his last year, that 3 years, 4 years, he was a dynasty too.
And and that was my argument. I said it was 2 dynasties, but now that I'm thinking about it, right, my friends are sort of right, because the core was the same, Brady and Belichick. The core of the Warriors is still exactly the same, Draymond, Steph, and Clay, with Steve Kerr. So in that sense, I think my friends are more so right with that, and I'll take the L in the argument there.
Your friends say what?
My friends say that if the Patriots win, let's say just for all intents, all for the sake of this argument,
that they win again,
if they win in 2022, I guess 2023.
Yeah.
My original argument was that the dynasty of the Patriots would still be continuous. And then my friend's like, no, because the core is gone. Brady and Belichick was the core of the Patriots.
Oh.
They're gone. And
it's been a while since they've won the championship, right?
2018 was the last time they won.
So 19, 20, 21. It's been 3 years since they won one.
Going into the 4th year.
So I think that they're restarting a dynasty. I don't think it would be a continuation of it.
Well, I think in this sense, the Warriors
in terms of Belichick, he's already the greatest coach ever. So
right. No, I'm not going to
dispute that. To worry about whether the team's a dynasty or not. He's the greatest coach ever.
That's still a topic of conversation.
The only record out there for him left is winning the most games as a coach, as a head coach, and he's going to get that too, I think.
I think so as well. But in the terms of the Warriors, I said yes, they are still a dynasty because the core is still intact. Just like if the Patriots win this time around, it wouldn't be a dynasty anymore because the core of Brady, Belichick, and I guess Josh McDaniels and Edelman and Gronk and all them, they aren't there anymore.
Yeah, well, you might be right, but I just don't. I'm not a big fan of the Warriors because they beat the Celtics.
But like my original argument with this was the fact that it was the amount of times they won in the years that they won, right? The Warriors won, 3 in, 5 years? Yeah, 3 in 5 years. This is their 4th and 8. I would say, if I was still talking about, because I said the Patriots, their dynasty was split up into 2 because there was a 10-year gap without them winning. Just like how I could say the Yankees in the 2000s were at a dynasty because they won in 2000, they lost. They lost a bunch. I think they lost 2 World Series in the span until 2009 when they won one. Yeah. So I would say that isn't a dynasty anymore.
Not a dynasty anymore. There was a long stretch there between those winning. Then they didn't win anymore after that. Right.
They haven't won
in
one
2009.
Since.
They haven't won one since.
Right.
They're looking pretty good this year, but we'll see.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break. Oh, just another thing before I wrap up. The Warriors do have some notable free agents going into this offseason. Gary Payton II, Andre Iguodala, Kevon Looney, Otto Porter Jr. They're all unrestricted free agents.
Nah, those guys aren't that important.
Kevon Looney rebounding, hit a 22-rebound game against the Grizzlies.
They'll retain him. The others, I don't think they care that much about.
I think you might want Gary Payton II. He's a very
journeyman.
good defender. But he's a very good defender.
He's been everywhere. He's played for like 20 teams.
He's played for like 6.
Yeah, he's played for a lot of teams.
Yeah, I'll bring it up right now. Gary.
He's easy to bring back if they want him.
Payton II. Gary Payton.
He's getting old, too.
He's 29 years old. He's played for 5 teams. He's played for the Bucks, the Lakers, the Wizards. 4 teams. Bucks, Lakers, Wizards, and Warriors. Been the Warriors for 2 years now.
Played for more than that, but I'm wrong.
Well, are you talking about his dad? First Gary Payton?
The Warriors got to go out and get some more role players. They need some more role players, right? They need
potentially.
I think that Iguodala's gone. He's too old. And Gary Payton Jr., I think he's probably gone too. But
I think they might retain him for defensive purposes.
If they retain him, they'll get him on a song. I don't think anybody else will want him.
Maybe. We're going to take a very, very quick break. The Harvey Hour will be back in just 1 second. Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. And we have some more information that's coming out when it pertains to Baker Mayfield and the Browns. The Browns actually said in a statement today that they are willing to pay half of Baker Mayfield's salary that he's expected from that 5th-year option to try to speed things up and get a deal done. Now, it came out just a couple days ago that the Panthers were still interested in getting Baker Mayfield, but of course, the one knock on Baker Mayfield was that $19 million salary hit. So do you think now there's a higher chance that Baker Mayfield would get signed sooner rather than later?
Yes.
You think so?
Yep. I think probably the Panthers will try to get him now.
I think the Browns will need to pay, 3/4 of the salary, or maybe 2/3 of the salary for a team to jump on that. Because you're still paying about $10 million. They might give a
little bit more, but I think a deal's going to get done now.
I agree. I think a deal eventually will get done sooner rather than later. I just think that
they're going to do it soon because the camps open up in July.
Right, and that's why the Panthers are making such a big push now, is because they need to, if they were to get Baker Mayfield, they would want him to learn the playbook as quickly as possible, which is the thing the Patriots didn't do with Cam Newton soon enough, which he even admitted. He was still learning by week 8 or 9. He was still learning the playbook.
He's a slow study.
So, yeah, I think probably give it about a week or 2. That would be my guess. Baker Mayfield will be gone to the Panthers. I still think Saints are the best option, but the Saints aren't in play anymore, or at all, or ever. So it looks like it'll probably be the Panthers, Baker Mayfield, next quarterback.
The Saints may regret it.
Right? They may.
Because I think Jameis Winston's still somewhat a question mark, right? Because he didn't play that much last year. Before that, he was throwing an interception about every other pass, so I think that you might be right. The Saints will regret not trying to get Baker Mayfield.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. We're gonna move on.
They could still do it.
They still could
do it.
I don't think they will though,
No,
because
I don't either.
they just gave Jameis Winston a 2-year contract from free agency. But I want to talk about this. So Bart Scott of ESPN, he was on ESPN radio yesterday. He said that he would rather play against Tom Brady every day of the week, and that everybody else should feel that way. And he thinks they do feel that way. He stated that Peyton Manning was the one calling all the plays and calling out the weaknesses of the defense, and the fact that on the defensive side, you didn't want to be the guy that Peyton Manning figures out and says, you are the weakest on the team. I'm going to target you all game.
Yeah.
Brady was more so getting the play in his ear, and when he gets to the line, reading it and executing
it perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he says that Peyton Manning was more of a chess player when Tom Brady was not so much more of a checker player.
That's BS. What's Bart Scott's record against the Patriots?
Well, against Brady in particular, he was 2-8.
Yeah, well, okay, so he's sour grapes.
He's
sour grapes, right? And I can remember some of those games with Rex Ryan over there they show him on the sidelines yelling at Bart Scott because Tom Brady's eating his lunch.
Right.
So I think Bart Scott's just sour grapes. That's all.
Well, the Patriots offense.
What's his record against Peyton Manning?
That's a good question. But with the Patriots in particular, against the Patriots offense, the Patriots did average about 30 points a game against Bart Scott's offense.
Didn't the Jets defense was ranked pretty high up there when Rex Ryan was there and Bart Scott was there, right? But the Patriots picked them apart. I can remember some of those games, watching Brady throw a long pass down to Edelman, touchdown, Yeah. So I don't know what Bart Scott's talking about. I think I don't know. He's just sour grapes, I think.
I just think at this point, I don't know what the argument is about anymore. I mean, people say that Peyton Manning is still the greatest quarterback of all time. Meanwhile, Brady's the most accomplished.
I don't think so.
I think Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time.
So do I.
I think Brady's honestly the greatest player of all time.
Yeah.
Just because, yes, he is the most accomplished player. That is undisputed. But I think
Think about all the times
player.
Tom Brady came through in the clutch.
Exactly.
Right? Think about Peyton Manning early on in his career when he was throwing interceptions in the playoffs. He didn't win. It took him a long time to win a playoff game.
Right.
Right? Tom Brady won the Super Bowl his second year in the league. First year he started. Well, he didn't even start the year. He came in 3 games into the season, right? And they made the Super Bowl and won it.
Right.
Right? And he had it was pressure for him too, with Drew Bledsoe breathing down his neck there after he came back, and it made it into the AFC championship game, and actually, because Brady was hurt, Bledsoe, you could say he won that game, and then Belichick picked Brady to start in the Super Bowl, and Bledsoe was upset about that. So I think Brady, he's number one in my book.
Well, I think, you know what? I think maybe just from Bart Scott's perspective, it may be a little bit differently. But you hear it when people are mic'd up, right? And you heard it when the Falcons were up 28-3. You heard, I believe it was Mohamed Sanu that says, I think it was Julio Jones like, yo, we about to put 40-something on the ass. And then Mohamed Sanu's like, yeah, but they got Tom Brady, though. So teams understand what Tom Brady is, right? Tom Brady was down 28-3 against the Falcons.
He educated them.
5 minutes left in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Came back and won the entire game, albeit there was the Donta Hightower play that was the fumble that really sealed the game at that point. Mm-hmm. But Tom Brady went to 10 Super Bowls.
That didn't seal the game at that point. They were still down 2 scores then.
But that was a game. I mean, I guess
it's a game-changing event.
Yeah.
It gave the Patriots a chance
Absolutely.
and they did it, though. They didn't muff it.
No, exactly.
They went right down and scored.
Yes.
Right?
But Tom Brady went to 10 Super Bowls compared to Peyton Manning's 4. Tom Brady had 6 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter and overtime. The only one was the Bucs one where they absolutely obliterated Patrick Mahomes, didn't let him score a single touchdown, only allowed field goals. So that was the only time where he couldn't have a game-winning drive. Tom Brady honestly should have at least 1 more, maybe even 2 more.
How about the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs? About 2 degrees, wind blowing.
Right.
About a 20 below 0 wind chill factor. What a game, huh?
Yeah.
Tom Brady, right? He took him down there, put him ahead, and then the Patriots defense buckled, and the Chiefs went down, got a field goal to tie it up. Then Brady, they won the toss. He took them right down the field, and they scored again to win that championship.
They also had
in Kansas City, Kansas City,
which is very hard to do. It was
Kansas City that year. That was the year we went to the playoff game, right?
We went to the Chargers
one, and everyone was counting the Patriots out because they kind of faltered a little bit in December, right? They didn't play that well, and as Brady said, everyone thinks we suck.
Yeah.
Well, they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And that was in that game in particular against the Chiefs. Tom Brady converted 3 straight 3rd and longs. 3 straight.
Yeah, right. I remember that. Yeah.
So
and he went to 3rd down on every one of them, I think, to get it.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
He went to 3rd down on every one of them, right?
There were 2 3rd and 10s and 1 3rd and 11.
Yeah, that was a great game.
But also,
there's many great games there.
No, absolutely. You could list off a number of phenomenal. The 505 against the Eagles that Belichick's defense choked against Nick Foles. But that's beside the point. In regards to Peyton Manning,
I think that Bart Scott may be saying, well, Peyton Manning called all his own plays out there, right?
That's what he's saying.
You know what? Tom Brady audible to many times there too, and picked up, saw something in the defense, changed the play, and made a good play, right?
You see that a lot now, though. He walks up and then he looks, he's like, and then he audibles.
Yeah.
So yes, when he recognizes it, he audibles out. In regards to Peyton Manning, though, his playoff resume, believe me, if it was up to me, I would say Peyton Manning's the top 3 quarterback in history.
I agree. He's up there. Right.
Absolutely. But his playoff resume is not the prettiest of the bunch at all.
It is not.
He had several losses where he was the 1 or 2 seed, and he lost to the Chargers. He lost to Ben Roethlisberger.
He was throwing interceptions and making poor decisions. Right?
Yeah. So there's a lot you could say about what's wrong with Bart Scott's argument that people want to face Tom Brady every day.
Didn't he throw an interception in the Super Bowl right near the end?
We talked about that in the last Harvey hour. I forgot it was his name Porter on the Saints.
Saints,
yeah, in the Super Bowl, that's when the Saints won, I believe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would have to say when people think about Brady versus Peyton Manning,
I think they should have you as an analyst rather than Bart Scott. Okay.
Hey,
he knows what he's talking about.
If ESPN is calling, I will gladly answer their call. I will gladly take ESPN his call anytime.
Yeah.
But I think for this Harvey hour, we're gonna wrap it up. We'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. My name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We are the Harvey Hour. Catch you guys tomorrow.
Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth. We'll see you tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.